Welcome to Sweet Blessings Farm. My name is Gina Phelps and I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. I practice at Gainesville Holistic Health Center in Gainesville, Virginia. Last weekend I had a wonderful opportunity to do a demo for the Homesteaders of America conference, their first one in Warrenton, Virginia. And I did demos all day long and then did a little talk in the afternoon. After the talk was over, a lot of people came up and asked me to do did I have recipes written down somewhere? And of course I don't write anything down. I tend to make them up as I go. So we thought it would be really good to go ahead and do a video. I do better talking than writing. And today the recipe I'm going to do is cashew kefir. So kefir is a prebiotic drink. We can refer to it as either kefir, kefir. A lot of people have different names for it. But what you need to remember, no matter how you pronounce it, it is a prebiotic. It's going to feed that wonderful bacteria that's in your colon. And it tastes a lot like yogurt if you haven't tasted it before. It's got that tangy flavor, but it's not cooked. It's never been heated. And so it makes it a really wonderful, alive product. So a lot of people, you'll be familiar with milk kefir, and you'll be familiar maybe with water kefir. And I find a lot of the clients that I work with have milk sensitivity, so I wanted to do something different that didn't have milk in it. So I chose to use cashews. And I've read a lot of different recipes for cashew milk and cashew kefir, and I thought that sounded like a really great thing to use. So that's what I'm going to be showing you today. I did a little bit of work ahead of time because you have to soak your cashews, and you have to soak them for usually about 5 to 8 hours. You really don't want much more than that because they tend to get very mushy, which is okay because I am going to grind them up. And you're going to soak them in water, pure water, and also in salt. So I use a gray sea salt. It's probably the least refined salt you can get. I don't like to do refined, and I put about a tablespoon of salt. And actually in this container, this is where I have my soaked cashews from last night. There's probably about 2 tablespoons of salt, and the rest is water. So what I'm going to do is you want to strain all that out, all that water out. And I like to keep the water. It's got some value potentially. I do have a farm. I feed it to either my pigs or my chickens, and they get the benefit. Of course, I'd rather have the kefir than the water, but you know, can't be choosy there. So have a lot of what I started out with. This is my recipe that I use. I start out with about 2 cups of cashews, and what I did yesterday was I placed them in a bowl. And then I covered them with about a tablespoon or a little bit more of the salt. Filled it up with water, and this is the product that comes. So you can kind of see the difference. Maybe these are a little grayer, and these are going to obviously be much harder and much crunchier. Now, the really fun thing, and this is all it takes. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and get my Vitamix here. You can use any blender. Obviously, it's the one I have. I'm going to fill it up with water, and again, pure water. I do have a water filter that I use. We are in well water. We try to be very careful. I fill it about halfway, and then this actually has enough cashews in it for 2 recipes. So I'm going to go ahead and fill half of them up. And I'm also going to add some dates to it. So dates are a wonderful fruit for sugar. I'm going to add 3 dates to a half a gallon. It's going to make about a half a gallon, so I'm going to add in the 3 dates. Not the, did I just put that in there? Not the nut. You know, when you're fermenting, it's really cool. You always make mistakes, and you got to go, you know, potentially fishing around in there. So we'll see if that comes up. Alrighty. Let's see, there's something floating in there. Okay, so put the cover on it, and I'm going to blend it up. We'll take it over here and blend it. Alrighty, so blended it up real nice. Now those of you could hear, you may have heard that little date seed floating around in there. Now, it's kind of interesting with the cashew milk. Other milks that I've used, you can actually strain them out. And this one, the nuts really blend right up inside of it. You can see there's really no particles, so it gives it a really nice really smooth consistency. And pour it in. Now, that's not going to be enough to make a whole one, and I'll go ahead and add a little bit more nuts in there now, and a little bit more milk until I fill it right up to the top. So that's the beginning of the cashew milk. Now, it's got the dates in it, it has the cashews in it. Like I said, about, you know, it'll eventually will have a full half gallon of water in there. And now what we need to do is add the kefir, add the starter. The starter is really, you can use milk grains that you can find from a friend. You usually can, you always ask a friend around, you know, say, do you have any milk grains? And somebody knows somebody who has them. The grains themselves they look like little cauliflowers. They're very soft and they will grow as you feed them. One of the things with using a non-dairy milk product is you have to make sure that you do use some type of sweetener, and that's why I use the dates, because the culture feeds off the sugar. So cashews don't really have sugar in them. They're more of protein and fat. So they have a little bit of the carb in there, but not very much. So I wanted to add sugar to it. You could certainly add honey instead of dates. You could add maple syrup instead of dates. It would give a whole different flavor profile, but you still need a little bit of that. Now, if you're really trying to stay away from sugar, just know that the bacteria needs that sugar to eat and feed. So when you're ready to eat this product, it's going to be diminished in the sugar because they're using it to actually do the culture. So I've used a couple different things. One of the products I like is called Yo Gourmet, excuse me. It's a culture of kefir. It says kefir starter. I bought this at Wegmans. If any of you live in the area and you have a Wegmans buy, they're really great right now. They have a lot of starters available. They have even cultured foods in their specialty market section. So it's really nice to have that already made. I haven't found a cashew kefir that's already made though. And what I would do is open it up, and I use the whole package and just pour it in, and you're ready to go. It's pretty much that easy. Of course, can't get the thing open, so let's try to open it up here. And always works that way. Let's see, pour the powder in. Pretty simple. Again, I'm not cooking, I'm not waiting, I'm not using my oven, my dehydrator, anything else. I'm going to go ahead and just add the water right to it, because I really don't need to blend it with the processor anymore, because it was already blended up really nice. And cover it. Give it a really good shake. Now, if you didn't want to kefir it, you could actually, before you put the powder in, start drinking it. It was ready to go, and right now I could even take a little of this and drink it, and you've got the bacteria in there. There's no reason you couldn't continue to drink it. One of the other nice things about kefir, this in the jar is actually kefir from the last batch that I made for last weekend. I saved a little. My husband drank the rest of it. There's nothing left of all that I made. And I can take this, which is a starter, and pour it into here if I hadn't wanted to use another kefir powder, another package. And you can do that for about 10 different servings. So multiple. So it's actually a very, very inexpensive drink to make without having to go through a packet every time. I referred to using the the milk grains before, and again, it's something that I kind of have a love-hate relationship. They sometimes grow too much, sometimes they don't. I can't control them, so I don't use them on a regular basis. I try to use them about once a year, just so I can remind myself how much we don't enjoy each other's company. So, very simple. Go through the recipe again. About 2 cups of cashews, raw, and I soak them overnight and cover them in water. Fill them up with about 2 tablespoons of salt is usually enough, and then drain that liquid off. Go ahead and put it in the blender fill it up with water. Obviously, I didn't fill my Vitamix to the top, or I probably would have had an explosion on camera, which I do that normally in my own house, but I didn't want to show everybody those kind of mistakes. Add 3 dates is really plenty for half a gallon. Dates, maple syrup, honey, whatever your choice of sugar is, and then whatever your culture is going to be, whether it's some from your last batch. The Yo Gourmet, I do know that Cultures for Health sells kefir culture, and you can look online for a lot of different cultures that it's available. Put it in, shake it up. Now what I'll do is put the cover on it. I'm going to leave this on the counter overnight, and by morning when I get up, at least that's what happened last week, you'll see this and you'll see that it all kind of comes together and there's a little bit of liquid at the bottom. That means it's really pretty much done. Shake it together, have a taste. It should be nice and tangy. You may want to let it go another day on the counter, but usually 12 to 24 hours is enough time, and to give it a nice sourness to it. Now, recipe that I made last week, which was fabulous, was I used about a cup of the kefir, some ice cubes, some fresh canned pumpkin, nutmeg, cinnamon, and made this beautiful, really, really nice, thick pumpkin shake. And for this time of the year, it's a wonderful, kids love it, family loves it, I loved it. We had just a wonderful afternoon. And you've got some great, great prebiotics in there, getting ready for when you have your veggies in the evening that are full of the probiotics. So thank you for joining me with this. I hope you learned something that you hadn't heard before. And if you did, I hope you learned something new on this part. If you have any questions, you can get a hold of me at gina@ghhcenter.com. I'll be glad to return any of the messages that you sent me. That's email. And look forward to working with you again. We have some more ideas and other cultures that I'd like to share with you. I have some Christmas ideas, some cultures, and I'd like to be able to do this on a monthly basis and just show you some different types of veggies that might be available different types of the year, different times of the year. And maybe we can do some fruit cultures next time too. So thank you for participating with me.